Ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing? Welcome to episode 6 of the Championship Show, but it's live, Adam, because I'm too lazy to edit videos, so we might as well just do it live and see how we go. We are going to cover yesterday's games in the Championship. What was a dramatic day in the Championship ahead of next week, which is the last round of fixtures on Friday night. But yeah, Adam, you said this before we came on air. This is the first time we've done one of these where I think we're both relatively happy.
Yeah, it makes a nice change, Dave. I get the feeling, though, that I won't be as happy a chappy as you, though.
No, probably not. It'll take some doing, to be fair. We'll go through all the games. Just a quick shout out to people in the chat. We've got Kyle McIver in there, Scott Doyle, Brandon Kilpatrick, Joe, Kevin Butler, RFC 55. Very staunch name there. But let's where should we kick off? I mean, because obviously there was Trophy Day yesterday, wasn't there, at Tynecastle? Let's kick off with Trophy Day. Before I come to Adam and his thoughts on what's going on at Tynecastle yesterday, anyone in the chat has got any questions about the Championship or anything, really, fire them in the chat and we'll get to it. Also want everyone's thoughts on Hearts' trophy presentation yesterday, because that was perhaps the talk of the day. But a 3-0 victory for the Jam Tarts, Adam, and they did me a favour.
Yeah, they certainly did. It was nice to see a quick start, something that Hearts fans have been craving sort of throughout the season. And as I also said to you just before we came on air, it appears as though Gary Mackay-Steven has morphed into Garincha all of a sudden. So that's that's long overdue. So I think everybody was intrigued by the signing initially, and he looked really back to his best yesterday, which was great to see. And long may it continue. Obviously, bagging his first couple goals in maroon.
Just an interesting comment here from Wee Dan, because it's something. What are you doing going live during the final? Well, as I said to Adam before we came on air, I completely forgot the Carabao Cup final was on just now, so it is what it is. I mean, if anyone wants to give a score update, it's fire in. But yeah, obviously Gary Mackay-Steven, it's been an interesting one, because I think when he signed in January, everyone, particularly people, fans of Premiership clubs, went, well, that'll boost Hearts on now. They'll be flying with him, and he was fairly anonymous for the first few weeks. What was it he did differently yesterday that kind of saw him become the star of the show?
Well, honestly, Hearts have been kind of opted for a sort of 3-5-2, and previously kind of been anonymous in the wide areas. He was basically tasked with being sort of the focal point within the quintet in midfield, and just appeared to look a lot more confident, a lot more willing to take his man on, always sort of looking for the ball, and just didn't really shy away like we've seen sort of in previous weeks and months.
Yeah, and a fast start was obviously something that I thought Eastern Park will come to that. But from an Inverness point of view, obviously they were going into the game yesterday knowing that they had to at least match Dunfermline in their quest for the playoffs. Were Hearts that good, or were Inverness, that bad? A
little bit of both, I think, mate. To be honest, they could have been, in front after a minute. It was a well-worked corner, which falls to an unmarked Scott Allen, but he blazed well over the bar. But other than that, I've got to be honest, I wasn't all that impressed by Cally Thistle, particularly given with my radio work, I discovered that they'd scored in every single away league match prior to yesterday. So, wow. Yeah, it's very, very disappointing from a Cally perspective. Indeed. So, yeah. And you'd have particularly fancied them to keep that going, like you say, with that little bit of incentive, whereas obviously Hearts didn't have that.
Yeah, and it's something that I'd mentioned. Obviously, we joked around that Hearts were going to lie down to Inverness. That didn't happen. But it was something I said all along, is that Hearts are still very much playing for performances. Robbie Nielsen's still got to get the fans off his back if he can, if that's even possible. And that's something that's shown through against Alloa and against Inverness. But is that the big frustration, that it's taken Hearts to actually finally lift to seal the title, to start playing good football?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, these type of sort of, I don't want to say blitzes, but certainly sort of more commanding performances, more sort of well-rounded performances have been few and far between. And that's been the primary frustration, along with the fact that Hearts haven't really fielded any youth graduates. And a nice thing for me to see yesterday was the fact that a young 16-year-old made his Hearts debut yesterday. Finlay Pollock, I believe his name is, was given a good 10 minutes, quarter of an hour. So that's really nice to see. And they're probably the two sort of main criticisms, the fact that we haven't been as sort of offensively astute and not sort of blooding in young talent, if you like. Yeah,
because there's obviously a lot of young guys that have fallen through the traps at Hearts recently, guys who have been let go or whatever. Harry Cochrane's the main one, because obviously he's leaving, isn't he, at the end of the season? And we all saw how good he was when he first came into the Hearts team. that game against Celtic, that performance he did on Brown that day was unbelievable. And for some reason, whether it's down to, maybe it could be down for a numerous number of factors, it's not worked for him. Guys like that, you'd have thought, like, to me, when I thought Hearts in the Championship this season, I'm thinking, right, well, Harry Cochrane's got to play, because we always know the kid's got talent. But as you said, they kind of opted not to do that. Whereas you think about the last time Hearts won the Championship, they had such a young, exciting squad. And they had results like this a lot more often. So, yeah, I mean, you have all been determined for the season to be over, but the closer it gets to the end, the more decent football you start playing.
Unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, there's me thinking that we've got an hour and a half left of hell before we're back where we belong, as we like to keep, yammering on. But yeah, that is the main frustration for me. But it is what it is, mate. Yeah.
Before we come on to talk about the trophy presentation, a wee word on Inverness and Neil McCann. Listen, I was winding up a mate of mine who's an Inverness fan yesterday, because I was just delighted that we picked him to playoffs. But I mean, what a job Neil McCann's done there. I mean, and I think that no matter what happens this summer, I think we all expect John Robertson to go back in for next season. But regardless of what happens, Neil McCann is going to come out of this season, now looking like an employable young manager. Whereas before this job came up, he was his stock was pretty low. And they've done really well. And I think a lot of the time they've been playing with injuries and suspensions. They've kind of had the bare bones at times. But I mean, for Inverness, there's some really good young players there. And they'll probably want to go again, Adam, next season to be a team that will definitely be pushing for the playoffs.
Absolutely. And I think this season, with kind of having Hearts as a bit of an anomaly, I think I said on the very first championship show that we did, despite Cali languishing sort of in that bottom, I think they were just above the relegation playoff place. I said I'd be pretty shocked if they went in and amongst the playoffs. And like you said in that very episode, Robbo always seems to churn out these little gems. And they certainly, this campaign, if you like, bodes well for next term, definitely, no matter who's at the helm. And I think Neil McCann has certainly put himself back in the shop window, whereas beforehand, like you say, with that Dundee spell, most notably, that definitely wasn't the case.
No, definitely not. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I think it was a real tough one for Inverness to take yesterday. Neil McCann, listened to his post-match thoughts. He was very notably upset by it all. Obviously, I mean, I think with the circumstances, regarding John Robertson and his absence and stuff, it's been a really emotional driven second half of the campaign for Inverness. And, that'll be a hurtful one, but, they'll have an immense amount of pride, the Inverness fans in that team, because they've given it their absolute all, and absolutely fair play to them. But for all I'm bigging up Inverness here, they weren't the team that finished in fourth spot. The team that finished in fourth spot. Oh, wait, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. Right?
Yeah, because you've still got a chance.
Presentation. No, let's talk about the trophy presentation, right? Because, of course, I saw it, and it's very awkward, that trophy presentation. Well, did you notice that the person that was cheering the most was Robbie Nielsen? Because I noticed
Why is that absolutely no surprise? I was prepared to go on Gogsy's stream, so I didn't even see the trophy presentation. That's how little I cared about it until I saw sort of the clips emerging on Twitter. I don't know what you want me to say, mate. I really don't, because
it was literally they should have just done one thing or the other. They absolutely half-arsed it, and it was just all about, like, I don't know. It was just awkward to watch, man. There's some players seem to enjoy it, so hey.
But like I said with Ryan and Kieran, I think this was sort of the best compromise that the fans and the club could have sort of came to. That being said, I mean, it seems to have rattled a fair few folks, so that's always a bonus.
Yeah, you guys love doing that, don't you? Just upsetting.
Absolutely.
That's your main goal now, is to just, how many teams can we fall out with? But yeah, let's move on to East End Park yesterday. One of the games of the season, an absolutely amazing game of football. After 20 minutes, I put on Twitter, because I think Hearts were 3-0 up, or maybe 2-0. We were 2-0 up, and I said, wow, this is the most un-Dunfermline thing ever. This is a piece of piss. We're waltzing into the playoffs. And then 5 minutes later, I tweeted, wow, this is the most Dunfermline thing I've ever seen, because we made an absolute arse of it. What a game. I mean, I don't even know where to start. Arbroath were fantastic yesterday. I want to make that perfectly clear. And I can't see any way that they don't beat Morton next Friday. I think Arbroath will be fine. They're a really good side. But yeah, I mean, you were obviously keeping an eye on the scores that came through. Dunfermline flew into an early lead, despite the fact that Arbroath had probably started a better. McManus scored a penalty, brilliantly won by Craig White, who we'll come on to. And then Kevin O'Hara scored a great goal. Dunfermline 2-0 up, cruising. At that point, what were your thoughts looking at the scores coming through?
I was thinking, well, at least Dave won't be moaning that Hearts have obviously laid down as such, given we'd done our bit on the end. And yeah, I was content because, like we touched on, my table was looking good. And now, obviously, I've backed the kind of playoff contenders. So, yeah, I mean, watching the goals back, I was a bit surprised that Craig Whiting didn't step up and take the penalty, given he'd done so well to win it. Down in the corner, I mean, the Arbroath defender that comes over, it's just a case of, see you later, thanks for coming, works his way into the box before he's taken out. And yeah, the Kevin O'Hara as well goal, a long ball over from Josh Edwards.
Great
I don't know.
O'Hara.
It was, but again, I'm looking at it thinking, could Arbroath do a little bit more defensively? Because it is just a long ball up from Edwards.
Well,
O'Hara starts
in the halfway line. It's just a foot race, and he beats the guy at the ball, cuts inside. It is a little bit too easy, but it's a great finish.
Of course.
In
Take
terms of
nothing away from the goal.
the penalty decision for Whiting, I take it you thought it was a penalty. I certainly thought it was a penalty.
Yeah. Oh, still more.
I think the only person that didn't think it was a penalty was Dick Campbell, who told us post-match that it was the softest penalty the film would get all season, which is interesting. So at that point, the film 2-0 absolutely cruising, but actually no, they weren't cruising. That's a lie. Arbroath were very much on top, I thought. And then they go and get 2 goals in 2 minutes. The first one, Vaughan Williams could probably do a little bit better. It just saves the header from O'Brien, hits Hamilton, goes in. The second's a stonewall penalty. I can't remember if it was Henderson or Edwards that gave it away.
It was Henderson, I think.
I think it was Henderson.
When I saw the highlights back,
penalty kick, 2 each. So then, it was literally the goals were in a 2-minute spell. And at that point, it was just absolutely mental. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Arbroath could have gone in ahead at the break. Craig Whiting had a massive chance to put Dunfermline ahead at the break. Didn't happen. 2 each at half time. And I'm thinking, wow, I don't think I can deal with another half of football like that. And another half of football like that was exactly what I got. It was just unbelievable. Dunfermline came out in the second half, did look a lot better. Henderson did really, really well, put a lovely ball through for Whiting, who scores. And the second goal, Whiting's second, is just a thing of beauty. Everyone in the chat after this, go and watch the highlights from that game. The second goal is just gorgeous from Craig Whiting. And I can't understand why Hearts let him go, to be perfectly honest, because he has been fantastic since he joined us, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, it was a baffling decision at the time. And when I watched the highlights back, he and Ewan Henderson linked up really nicely for both goals, I think. And the second, like you say, I mean, it is Paolo Di Canio-esque with it on the volley. Just opens up the body and
yes,
gorgeous.
But it's the flick from Whiting through to Henderson in the first place. It's just an unbelievable
sort of back heel around the corner or whatever. Yeah,
like the Player of the Year votes have been done for Dunfermline. Goal of the season's been done. I wish we could change that, because that should be goal of the season. Unbelievable stuff. And then Dunfermline at 4-2 up, and I'm thinking, right, it's 3-0 Hearts, 4-2 Dunfermline. That's it now. Finally, we're in the playoffs, secured. And then Arbroath just absolutely batter us for the last 15 minutes. They get a goal through Scott Stewart, a wonderful header, to be fair. And then from then on, it is just, they absolutely laid siege on the Dunfermline.
Was it backs against the wall at that stage?
It was everything against the wall. There was clearances off the line. There was great saves. It was just long ball. But Dunfermline defended brilliantly, to be fair. Just about hung on, did enough, into the playoffs. And the character on the day from the Dunfermline players to get the win, but also the character of them in the last 5 games, because they looked dead and buried after that Rovers defeat. I think everybody thought they were a bit knackered. I certainly thought we were done. And they've powered through and made the playoffs, which is great. And now, for all that, listen, we're not going to win the playoffs. We're not good enough to go up. I still have this slight bit of hope there, which is fantastic. So, yeah, I mean, but Arbroath, though, we'll come on to the games next week, but they were brilliant. I have to say, they were really, really good. 2 of the best teams I've seen East End this season have been Alloa and Arbroath, surprisingly. Both play really nice football when they're on it. And yeah, they'll be fine, I think, next week. But thank God for that.
I was going to say, mate, because the Pars, that's what, unbeaten in 5, 7 goals in 2 games. Yeah. What's all the fuss about?
This is the weird thing there, because now we're hitting form at the right time. If we go to Alloa next weekend, that's 3 wins and bounce.
Just got to carry that momentum, my man. There's every chance.
Flipping that, Dundee, I think, are unbeaten in 7. So I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, it's going to be really interesting, the playoffs. Oh, it is what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that now. Let's go through the rest of the games. Where should we go next? Let's go to Dens, shall we? Dundee against Raith. That battle for second place, which Dundee needed to win, obviously, to still within a shot of getting second. They did win. A goal from Cummings and Liam Fontaine got the second. What did you make of that going into it? I actually thought Rovers would go up there and win that.
I couldn't really separate the two, to be honest. It all depends on which Dundee turns up. And to be honest, it's the Dundee that we sort of should have expected, I think, in that first half. It seemed to be sort of a game of 2 halves, in that Dundee seemed to be on top for the first 45 and Rovers the second. But first goal in near enough a month for Jason Cummings, I thought was quite surprising as well. It's a nice overlapping run from Cammy Kerr, and he picks out Jason Cummings really well. Obviously, then strikes it against Benedictus' arm.
I thought it was harsh.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a great deal that he can do given the position that it's in. But I mean, I guess in the modern day, I just like a bit more clarity, to be honest, with these types of decisions.
I have to say, the highlights that I saw from Dundee, the footage isn't great in terms of seeing exactly what happened. There wasn't a great deal of distance between the ball and his hand, so it is one of them. This season we're seeing lots of them.
I guess not. And the corner, obviously. The corner as well. I'm not a fan of zonal marking, and it looks as though Rovers adopted that. I'm still trying to work out who Liam
It was either zonal marking or really bad man marking. It was one of the two.
Well, that's it, because I'm looking at it and I'm thinking it's either Kieran McDonald at left back or I think it's Jamie Gullen. Why would you not go centre half to centre half? Surely that makes a bit more sense. But I mean, listen, it is what it is. And obviously then Rovers crank up the heat. Regan Hendry seems to be at the heart of it, so there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that he's Premiership bound, like I say, and I have said on here. And then he obviously crosses for Benedictus to make amends. So it's just another crazy game. This league is honestly mental,
unbelievable. It's so good. I mean, the amount of looking at all the scores coming through yesterday. Yesterday there was something on the line in every single game, and we've got 2 games left, and you've got something to play for in every single game, which is just mad. Dylan Tate obviously sent off after the full. After in added time, he was sent off for just a bit of a late challenge. But for Rovers, you mentioned Regan Hendry there. He will 100% be playing the Premiership next season, whether that's Raith Rovers or whether it's with another club. I saw Livingston have been linked with him. Probably a few clubs down south as well, because he is a top player, Adam, who we both admire. And now it's interesting because now the final day, Dundee can still finish second, which is going to be really interesting. Obviously, Raith you go to Starks, don't you? So
we go to Starks, yeah, that's right.
It's a really interesting dynamic this now, because Dunfermline can still finish third, which is, in terms of prize money, is a bit of a difference, and you get home advantage second.
But you've still got that added fixture, don't you?
Exactly. You also play then Alloa on the Friday with a game on the Wednesday. Do you rest on the Friday for the Wednesday, or do you? It's going to be such a tough thing to see what managers do. We'll come on to those games in a bit, but where should we go next? Let's go Queen of the South Ayr, which is probably the dud of yesterday's games. It didn't look like a glamorous fixture on paper to me. Ayr have been really, really poor recently. Queen's, I think Queen's only mathematically sealed their safety yesterday, but I mean, they were safe. There was no real doubt about that.
I think so.
So I don't know. I mean, I worry for Ayr. They play Inverness on the final day. Yesterday, obviously, nothing really between the sides. So, I mean, in terms of their fate, I think Ayr could be in a bit of trouble.
I just think Ayr are lucky that they can score more than Morton can. It really is that simple. I mean, I'm looking at it, they're tied on points, and literally Ayer's goal difference is all that's keeping them up, given Morton have scored less goals in games. So it's crazy. And to think that Queens were obviously...
because Inverness host Ayr. If Inverness win that, Morton and Arbroath, a draw keeps both of them up. So it becomes really, really interesting that way. So it's one of those. There's going to be loads of little factors in play next week.
It is, but like you say, I believe that Arbroath will have enough to take care of Morton and probably consign them to that playoff place. It's mental to think that Queens could have even made the promotion playoffs.
Well, if they'd beaten us last week, they had a good chance.
Absolutely baffling.
It's just mental how difficult the league is. Next week, I find it utterly bizarre that the Hearts game's on TV. It just makes no sense to me. I can understand
the BBC
it if it was
must
like
be kicking themselves, given
why
the
would
game
you
at Gayfield's not.
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense. The BBC aren't doing this. They're not like a TV company that's doing it for profit either. It's like it doesn't make any sense.
We've been on the box more times than necessary. I'm not wanting to watch us.
What really pisses me off about this is the clubs, say when Hearts are playing away and they put it on the Friday night, is the clubs that are missing out on the revenue of having Hearts fans paying for pay-per-view. That really pisses me off, because that for clubs is like, say, like Queen of the South, you played there on a Friday night. I know some Hearts boycott pay-per-views, but even then, the added revenue that they missed out on because it was on the box really, really annoys me. But it is what it is. Not an awful lot more to say about that game. Queen of the South will be looking to keep a hold of some of their big players in the summer. Connor Shields, Obalai. Who else am I thinking of? One more is going out of my head that I'm trying to think of. Who's the other one I'm thinking of? Obalai, Connor Shields, Fitzpatrick. But also the Mabudi on loan from Rangers. I'll probably want to get him back as well. So yeah, I don't know what to expect from Queens next season, but certainly they've done okay this season because I thought they were doomed at the start. I looked at their squad and didn't think they had a chance staying up.
And so did I, like I say, with that 6-1 drubbing that we gave them at Tiny, I think in December. So the fact that they've turned it around in such a short time's credit to them. I think from an Ayr perspective, though, that's a massive missed opportunity against a side that didn't really have anything to play for. I think their promotion playoffs were pie in the sky. And like you say, they're pretty much safe anyway. So
yeah, it's David Hopkins ball at its finest, isn't it? I mean, the one thing about getting David Hopkins is he's supposed to make you tough to beat. He hasn't really done that. And you don't score really goals. So it's a struggle for Ayr. I think that they've got to hope that Arbroath do them the favour next week by beating Morton, because otherwise I think Ayr could be in real trouble, because they're going to face an Inverness side who are a bit of a wounded animal next week. They're going to be wanting to bounce back. I know that they don't have anything to play for now, but for pride's sake, they'll kind of want to get a result. Let's move it on let's go down to Capello, shall we? A game that absolutely ruined by Coopman. Morton 1, Alloa 1, already relegated Alloa. Big chance for Morton, you felt, to try and boost their safety hopes. They go 1-0 down to an Inverness Cameron goal, then Marcus Fjortov gets the goal back for Morton. But, I mean, they didn't really do enough to warrant winning the game. I don't know if you saw the incident when Calvin Orsi was in on goal and he fell on his arse. It was just kind of summed up Morton's season. I think it was Calvin Orsi anyway. He was in 1-on-1, tripped over the ball, fell on his arse. And yeah, sums up Morton's season. They're kind of looking like that. If they do finish in 9th, I'd worry about them, Adam. Yeah,
I think you've got every right to, mate, particularly given how sort of interesting the League One title race is becoming all of a sudden as well. But yeah, I mean, Ayr must be delighted, because despite how rank Innis Cameron was for them on loan earlier on in the season, to put Alloa ahead at Morton, I mean, that's a massive boost. And I mean, I'm not being funny. If Morton can't beat already relegated Alloa at home, do they really deserve to stay in the division?
We've got them next week. None of that.
Yeah, but your playoff place is secured. You might have a rotated side. So
we'll see. We don't have enough players fit to rotate just now. Do you know what I mean? Lewis Laird saying Morton were so late from the final third. I don't know. Lewis, were you at that game yesterday? Good chance Lewis was down there covering that for not the Old Firm. But yeah, I mean, Morton don't have enough up front in terms of a goal scorer. I have to say though, if Alloa had got Innis Cameron from the start, they might think, who knows, they might have had enough to stay up, because he's done well for them.
And you look at the sort of sides around them. Arbroath, obviously, Jack Hamilton coming in, he pretty much galvanised their season. Alloa and Innis Cameron, like you say, it baffles me that Morton haven't got somebody that they can hang their hat on, despite how rank they actually, or have been, I should say. I don't want to say how rank they are, because that might be a bit harsh, but how rank they have been.
Aaron Mully is a Morton fan. Gutted to be a Morton fan right now. I am raging. Aaron, I'd like your thoughts on what you think are specifically the problems, not just yesterday, but in general. Because it looked to me like when Gus McPherson came in, there might have been a wee upturn, but it's kind of faded away big time. The frustrating thing for them will be they did so well at Fir Park in the Cup last week, and then they can't transfer that character, that spirit, to get a result at home to Alloa. That's the real frustration. And as you said,
of course, because that 0-0 draw, we did next to nothing. So that was, and obviously then had nothing to play for as well. So they've ultimately had 2 home fixtures against sides with nothing to play for at either end of the table, and have been held twice in 2 0-0 draws. So it speaks volumes, really. It
does. And as you said, the League One title race is looking so... Whoever doesn't win the title will probably fancy themselves to go up, because I know Airdrie got beat off Thistle, but Airdrie had been on 5 unbeaten going into that game. Falkirk are obviously not doing very well just now, but they've still got enough quality in that squad. And
Thistle came from nowhere. It's bonkers.
Thistle are flying there. And it's mental, because I think a lot of fans wanted rid of Ian McCall, which is mental, because he was branded the Messiah and the Saviour when he went in there and then didn't save them, and then didn't have a great start to this season. But it'll be interesting to see what happens in that playoff. In terms of, is that all the games from yesterday? Have I missed one?
No, I think that's us. I think that's the 5, isn't it?
Just quick looking at the league table heading into the final day. We'll run through it. Hearts obviously top, Rovers second, Dundee third, and Dunfermline fourth. Dunfermline are on 39, Dundee are on 42, and Raith are on 43. The big question will be, can Dundee leapfrog Raith into second? That is a real battle. The battle of third and fourth doesn't mean a great deal, but third and second are like a big difference. Going down League Inverness obviously in fifth. I'm just checking to see if there's a half a chance that Queen of the South. No, I was going to say
because of the goal difference, isn't it?
But Queen's goal difference is dreadful. So Inverness will finish in fifth. Queen's, I think Queen's will finish in sixth. Arbroath could
Well, I was
probably
going to
leapfrog
say
them, actually.
Arbroath could, because if they beat Morton and Queens get beat off Dundee, then there's every chance. So that's the only one that I'm sort of worried about for my table, because other than that, it was looking quite good.
And then Arbroath obviously on 29, Ayr on 28, Morton on 28, and Alloa at bottom on 19. So that leads us into next week. And I have to be perfectly honest, I don't have the fixtures in front of me. So we'll start with one that I know is happening next week. And that is at Starks Park. And it is the big BBC farewell for Hearts. Thanks for coming up the road. Excited?
Fantastic. No, just be relieved when it's over.
End this pain now.
It's just been hell, hasn't it? Just get us out of here. No thanks.
I mean, as Kieran Auld said, I'd keep the bastards down there, to be honest. But, it is what it is. For Rovers, though, they'll want to make sure they seal second, because second is worth fighting for. That not having to play 2 extra games on paper is worth fighting for. But I'm going to flip this to you just now and get your thoughts on this, because it's something somebody said to me yesterday. Having had a shortened season, only 27 games up to this point, then having a week or 2 off going into the playoff game, is that as much of an advantage as it sounds? Because you're still really having a reasonable gap. It's Friday to Wednesday, Wednesday to Sunday. That's a reasonable gap between games. So, I mean, does it make a great deal of difference with a shortened season?
You'll know better than me, mate. I really don't know. It just, I feel as though if you're going into second, it gives you that sort of time to prep and scout as well. I couldn't tell you. This league's nuts either way, so nothing would surprise me in the playoffs. Regardless.
I think Accies are the only team that have gone up from 3rd or 4th when they relegated the Highbees, which you'll remember fondly.
Absolutely.
I think they're the only team to have done it, and it obviously is stacked against the Championship sides. But just purely from a Dunfermline point of view, we play again on Friday night. Hopefully we'll win that. If we do win that, I'm thinking just give us the next game. We're in a run of form. We've got some momentum. We don't want a break. We want to keep
that going.
Winning.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's a tough one to balance, and I think that team selection for Dunfermline, Rovers and Dundee next weekend will be very, very interesting. And for Dunfermline especially, because I know we've got a couple of boys carrying knocks. Whittaker's played a lot of football and he's had a knock. McManus is playing with an injury. So it'll be really, really interesting. But I'm guessing we'd probably fancy Hearts to win that, though, no?
Possibly. Yeah, certainly the last time we were at Starks was probably one of the best performances of the season. Obviously helped with that red card, like I said on the very first episode. So, I mean, there's every chance, and ultimately it would be quite nice to see a final Hearts win before the summer break. But yeah, we just need to wait to see it. Like I say, Hearts are in front of the cameras, so there's every chance that we'll be absolutely rank rotten, and then I'll be thankful that I won't have to watch them for a good few months. Yeah,
I mean, is there any players that you think are still playing for contracts at Hearts just now that might be able to impress next week?
I get the impression that Robbie's probably already made his mind up as to who he'd like to keep and who not, to be honest with you, mate. But again, the whole sort of televised aspect, players may be chucking themselves in the shop window.
They'll have their colourful boots on and the hair gel in. That always happens when the TV cameras are there.
That's it, slick.
Just to touch back on Morton, Lewis led saying Big Fjortov is making a late push for top scorer. Aaron's not very happy with that. He's a centre half. So that kind of sums up Morton. I mean, I would probably fancy Hearts to win this. I'd love them to give Raith a good kicking just to ruin their confidence ahead of the playoffs. Because I have this really horrible fear that Rovers are going to go up. So I really hope that doesn't come to fruition. That game is obviously on the TV. I want to get everyone's thoughts in the comments here. Because obviously, is it actually a rule that all the games have to be at the same time on the final day? Is that actually a rule? I mean, I'm assuming it must be.
I guess it must be, yeah.
Because otherwise it doesn't make any sense. Because it is an absolute joke that all these games are on at 7:45 on a Friday. It's an absolute joke for me. And why not just televise them all if you're going to do that? I just find it bizarre. Score prediction for that one then, Raith against Hearts.
Probably Raith 1, Hearts 2.
Oh, you've changed your tune. You were always predicting draws. Now it's a wee bit of positivity does wonders. I'm going to go Raith 0, Hearts 4. There we go. Hearts 4.
Jesus, Raith I'd love 4. To see what you've been smoking.
Oh, that'll do me. I tell you, that'll do me. Let's move on to just try to see if there is any dead robbers. There isn't really. I mean, maybe Dunfermline probably is the dead robber next weekend. Let's move on to. We'll leave the best till last. We'll go to Inverness against Ayr next, which is an interesting game in terms of the battle for avoiding 9th. Ayr go there needing to win, I think, because they need to win, really. Yeah, they absolutely need to win. Any thoughts about how the lack of anything to play for will affect Inverness. I actually think it'll galvanise them. I think they're a bit of a wounded animal now. They'll want to play for pride, because I think that's what they've been doing a lot the second half of the season, playing for the pride. And I think Inverness will probably win that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I could see Inverness winning that pretty comfortably, to be honest, just given, like you say, that they're a decent side on their day. It's just been a case of not showing it as frequently as they'd like to throughout the season. And ultimately, Ayr, I just get the impression that rather than going out to try and win the game, David Hopkin maybe take a point and just bank and hope that Arbroath absolutely batter Morton, which would be a risky strategy, to say the least. But
let me get my league table up here to get the eventualities out. So if Ayr were to draw, they would go on to 29, and Morton would be on 28. So that would be enough. But if Ayr and Morton both drew, that would also be enough for Ayr. So Ayr just need to match Morton, basically, and they will be
essentially
fine. So it's an interesting one in terms of how I always find these games interesting, how the teams play up, because Morton and Arbroath, it's like, because you don't know, you might be hindering yourself if you attack, you might be hindering yourself if you settle for a point. It's going to be so difficult to judge.
It's probably got 0-0 written all over it, just because of the tense atmosphere. Yeah,
I can't see Ayr winning at Inverness. I really can't see it. They don't score enough goals. They ship far too many. I look at the team and I think, last season with Ayr, I always felt they had goals in them, whether it be Forrest, Stephen Kelly,
Luke McCann, whoever.
Luke McCann, but they've overly relied on Luke McCann this season. Like, he's become 100%, to be the main man, which is not really fair on him. So I worry for Ayr.
What's happened to Michael Moffat? Is Michael Moffat still there?
So Moffat's still kicking a ball, but I mean, Moffat's, I don't know what age he is now, but he's also been injured recently. Every time I watch Michael Moffat, he's the best player in the park. What a wonderful footballer that man is. But yeah, he's been carrying an injury for so long now, so I don't know what the script is with him. But I do worry for Ayr. I think Inverness will win that 2-0.
I had 2-0 in my head as well. I just feel as though Scott Allen wasn't great at Tiny, I've got to be honest. But he'll do what he does and ultimately break down a resilient, probably boring Ayr that don't really look as though they're going to score. So, yeah, probably a comfy 2-3-0 Cali win, to be honest.
And Inverness have got a couple of players in form. Daniel Mackay's in good form. Todd Robb's in decent form.
QB player, Daniel Mackay.
Daniel Mackay's really good player. Yeah. So I think Inverness will be fine. Jake's saying here, not sure. I think the reason why the Arbroath game isn't in the box because they've been to Gayfield twice, which I believe is the agreement with the BBC. That does tend to ring a bell. How many times have they been at Tynecastle then? Twice as well? Alloa and Dundee on the opening night?
Let's see. Sorry, what was that question? Arbroath?
No, he's saying that.
Or
Jake's saying that there's an agreement with the BBC that you can only have games live on the telly from each ground twice, so they can only go to each ground twice for a live team game. So has it just been Dundee and Alloa on the BBC at Tynecastle?
Off the top of my head, yes.
I could think of. They've only been to East End for Dundee and you guys.
Hearts.
So that,
that's right.
Yeah, so that sounds right. So that's interesting.
Yeah, maybe.
Sorry,
Jake. It's been a long day, mate.
Yeah, Lewis is saying about the kickoff times being the same. So, did you give a prediction there? I think you did. Can't remember.
Yeah, I said 2-0 exact same as you. I'll go 3. I'll differ it. We'll go 3.
Very good. So let's move on now to. Well, I want to leave the best till last. So let's go here. We've done you guys, didn't we? We did Hearts against Raith. So we'll go Dundee and Queen of the South. Did it at Palmerston. Dundee need to win and hope that Hearts do them a favour. Queen's not playing for a match. I think Dundee will win because they're in reasonable form just now. Dundee and their ground out results were not playing very well, which is something they haven't been doing since they came into the Championship like 2 years ago. That they've kind of struggled to grind out results. And a similar vein to Dunfermline just now, they just want to keep winning Dundee ahead of the playoffs.
And I think they'll probably want to make amends for Queen's beating them 3-2 at Dens the last time, didn't they? So yeah, there's that added factor as well. I think. Yes, it's just of the utmost importance for these playoff teams that they can, keep these winning ways going and try and gather that momentum heading into them, like you say.
Dundee just need to better Raith. If Raith draw, a win will be enough to put Dundee into second, which is a big, boost.
Which could be a possibility. I think Dundee are just looking at it, assuming that Hearts will probably beat Raith Rovers. But like you say, I mean, we're talking about sort of these teams doing one another's favours. They need to go out and do their jobs first and foremost. Yeah, it goes without saying. So it'd be interesting to see what happens down in Dumfries.
Absolutely. I think it'll be an interesting day in terms of shock results. And I think that's us finally. Oh no, we live in Alloa and Dunfermline. Alloa against Dunfermline Friday night at the Inverness Stadium. I think Dunfermline will win the game, but I don't know how we're going to set up. I really think it's a real quandary for Stevie Crawford, more so than any other manager, because the chances of us finishing third are probably quite slim. We need to win and hope that Dundee lose. Again, is third even worth fighting for that much? Home advantage doesn't make a great deal in terms of the playoffs where there's no fans in the ground. So I don't know. I think that Stevie Crawford will rest a few. You'll probably see Whittaker drop out. McManus will probably drop out. I think you'll see Fraser Murray get a game. Kerr McInroy will probably play. Paul Watson came off the bench yesterday after just come back from injury. Probably get him a start just to see where he's at. We're also waiting to hear about Scott Banks, Ewan Murray, and Ian Wilson. So it's going to be an interesting one in terms of team selection. I do think Dunfermline will win because I think we've got 3 strikers scoring goals just now, which is a rare commodity in the Championship. And it's something that's just crept up on me looking at how I think all our strikers are about in double figures now, which is pretty good going.
It's a lovely novelty, that.
Considering none of them are like what you'd call prolific goal scorers throughout their career. Neither of them, McManus, O'Hara and White, have never really been 20, 30 goal season players. So it's quite good. Yeah, I think Dunfermline will win. But again, the Alloa at the end of the drill are always an awkward proposition, as you well know.
Thanks for that, mate. What can I say? I'm not really sure what to expect, to be honest, because like you say, it all depends on which Dunfermline team selected to start. I feel as though Alloa can score on their day, but again, what are they really playing for? So I don't know. I could see sort of a max of 2 goals, maybe kind of a 1-1 draw or a 1-0 Pars win, maybe.
I would absolutely take that.
Just be a dull, nothing game, I'd assume.
I think personally, I would rather win the game than rest players. Because if we rest all our good players and take a point, I'd rather we just win the game, keep that winning momentum going. Because winning is the oldest cliche in football, but winning's a habit, and if you keep winning games, it becomes something you just do naturally. And now we've got the monkey at the back and got 2 wins of the bounce to make it 3 would be great ahead of the playoffs. And finally, let's head up to the Battle of Gayfield. I want to talk a little bit about Dick Campbell on Saturday first, because he was just brilliant. He was so entertaining. I've got a video on my phone. I'm going to put it up on Twitter after this game. He started the game on Saturday sitting behind the goal in the away end. And now, normally when managers sit in a stand, it's to get a better view. Now, in an empty ground, to sit behind a goal, I thought was utterly bizarre. Now, he lasted all of 15 minutes behind that goal until the film had gone 2-0 up, and he came marching round the track. As he came marching round, an Arbroath player had been fouled in the corner. And Dick Campbell standing in the corner flag beside him, screaming at the linesman and the referee. He comes all the way down the track, giving the linesman pelters following him, and continue. And then he gets booked off the ref, which is brilliant. Then post-match, he comes out and he says, "Right, I'm not going to say anything controversial." Then goes on a 5-minute tirade about the ref, about some Dunfermline players speaking in the press about all this carry on. And he was just hilarious. What a character that guy is. But what I will say for him is he knows how to get his team motivated, and if they play like they did at Eastern Park, they will waltz to victory on Friday because they were brilliant yesterday. And I think we're both in agreement we can't see anything other than an Arbroath victory.
No, definitely not, mate. I'm intrigued to hear more about him behind the goal. Was he barking instructions from kind of up in the stand? It
took me a while to figure out, is that him? Because he was just like, why is he sitting behind the goal? I don't understand it.
And I take it then he's marching around because he's discontent with the officials or
well, that's exactly what it was. So they were 2-0 down, and then he came marching around just screaming at the linesman. Just fantastic. Rab Douglas and his brother Ian were in the dugout screaming at the players. They're so funny to watch. It's like that old Tune the Fat sketch with 2 guys screaming at the players.
Tremendous.
But yeah, I mean, for all that we say Arbroath are, Dick Campbell's a motivator and Arbroath are a rough side at times, they can play some nice stuff, and they've got some really decent players there. Ben Williamson particularly has had a lot of attention, been in great form. I was really impressed with Jack Hamilton, who obviously, as you mentioned earlier, has vitalised their season. And I look at players they have and think, wow, what Morton would do for a Jack Hamilton.
Two loanees that they're ultimately getting the best out of, aren't they?
Yeah, but that's the thing you've got to do when you're a team like that. You've got to work the loan market.
No, of course, and this was going to be my point, because why can Morton not go and get a couple of players like that?
Yeah,
it honestly, it baffles me. I mean, what a job he continues to do with Arbroath, and ultimately, should they secure their safety here, as we've both said that they probably, or we fancy them both to, it's a fantastic accolade.
They could end the day in 6th.
Unbelievable. The best part team in the country without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, and I think that what's also remarkable, he said it post-match himself yesterday, if he was offered a home game with a chance to win to seal your safety on the final day, he'd have taken it, because we always forget, because Arbroath have done so well, and it's the same with Alloa. We forget how much these two are punching above their weight. It is absolutely mental. When you think about Falkirk down there in the league below, you've got Thistle down in the league below. You've also had, in the last 10 years, you've had Dunfermline have been down there, Raith have been down there, Morton have been down there, Ayr have been down there. And it's not easy to get out, and they've got out and they've stayed up, and absolutely fair play to them. I really think Morton might get relegated, to be perfectly honest, because I think that whoever finishes top of the playoffs in the league below will have more than enough, I think, to beat Morton. Unless they make it horrible
as well,
and they fight their way through, I can't see how they do it.
Yeah, totally agree. And Arbroath, Gayfield's the trickiest place, arguably, in the division to go at the best of times. So, I fancy Arbroath. And like you say, with the teams that are currently occupying the playoff places in League One, it's not looking great from a Morton perspective, I've got to be honest.
No, it's definitely not. Score prediction on that one?
3-1 Arbroath.
Well, I was going to say 3-1 Arbroath as well. Nice. It's exactly what I was going to say. Because I can just see Arbroath scoring a few. They're a real threat going forward. They've got so many guys who, even looking at the bench, the guys like Donnelly came on, Chris Dillon, who we haven't even mentioned yet, has obviously got goals in him. And they've got goals all over the park.
I've been generous to Morton there, because I don't see where the goal comes from.
Yeah, I was going to say 3-0 as well, but I just think that Arbroath might slip a goal. They aren't great at the back, if I'm honest. I didn't think they were that great yesterday defensively, which is strange because O'Brien last season was one of the best defenders in the league. Little's always been strong.
It's what you've sort of become accustomed to, isn't it? When you'd imagine them, that they'd be tough to beat.
But that's what we've done with Alloa this season. So this season, Alloa's defence has been all over the shop. But because they were so good last season, we always still think of Alloa being hard to beat. But it's actually a bit of a cliche that's going to worn off. Based on our predictions here, we think that Morton are going to finish 9th.
100%.
And I think they're going to get relegated. Do you?
Can't disagree. Just given the form and momentum that the League One teams are gathering, definitely.
And just incidentally, of the 3 sides that are in the playoffs, do you think any of them will go up?
Oh,
it looks like it'll be Ross County. I think Hamilton.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think we're both in agreement that Kyle Lafferty will single-handedly carry Killie to safety.
Yeah.
I've touched on Dundee's need to get promoted. Rovers, I just think, will view it as an opportunity to have fun.
It's a free hit, isn't it? It's an absolute free hit.
And the Pars are sort of somewhere in between.
It's a very good way you've put that, because I think it's
so. I really don't know. I'm not all that impressed by County whenever I've seen them, to be honest. I thought that Inverness dismantled them with relative ease in the Highland Derby and the Scottish Cup. So there's every chance that a Championship side could get promoted through the playoffs, despite how rare that is, because, like you've said, it's only really Livy, Accies I can think of.
Livy and Accies are probably the only two.
I think that is right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, because Dundee United failed, Hibs failed, Rangers failed, Falkirk failed. Yeah, so it probably is just them two. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I think that I'm going to say no, because I don't think it'll be Dunfermline, therefore I don't want anyone to go up. But you're right, though. Dundee's
say yes.
is stronger, definitely.
I'll say yes. Why not?
Very interesting. Right, that's going to round us up. That's been a good wee show. 45 minutes there. I don't know what the score is in the Carabao Cup final. We've absolutely missed that. Second half will be underway there. We'll be back again to review what happens Friday night. So probably next Sunday. I don't think we'll do it live next Sunday unless I'm too lazy and potentially hungover, which I think I might be. Now think about it. Also, there's an Old Firm next Sunday, so Sunday might not be a great day for an upload. We'll see. Anyway, we'll recap all of that next week. Thanks everyone for watching. And Adam, any final thoughts?
Not particularly, mate. No.
Nice. Enthralling. Right. See you later. Cheers.